Okay, welcome back. Okay, now I've copied the stuff over. If we go to my computer, I've actually used a little spare 2 gig partition, okay, to put all these files on. It's a lot quicker to set up from a hard drive than a CD, so when your friend gives you all the files on the CD that they've copied at work or on their home broadband connection or whatever, copy them all onto your spare partition, that little spare partition if you've got one, and set them up from the hard disk. It's quicker. Okay, so we go into that and you can see here's all the stuff that I've put on. I've got the ATI Radeon drivers, which are the current ones for June 2004. All the Radeon family have a unified single driver now, so it doesn't matter which model Radeon you've got, that's the one. And that's 29 meg, as I said, large, these graphics driver files nowadays are. Then we've got DirectX 9, which is 35 meg. I have decided to put the service pack, XP Service Pack 1A on here. The user might be using USB 2, okay, in the future, and if that's the case, to set up the VIA USB 2 drivers, you've got to have the Service Pack 1A on there. And actually, the Radeon drivers VIA are now recommending Service Pack 1A as well, so sod it, let's put it on. Okay, but that is big. If you look, it's 125 meg. Okay, and that is the network setup. You must get whoever your friend is downloading all this stuff and putting it on disk for you to get the network administrator's Service Pack 1A set up. Because again, the only other option is that it sets it up online bit by bit while your machine's connected. So you've got to get the entire download, which is 125 meg. Then we've got the VIA Hyperion driver set. I said that all VIA chipset boards must have installed. Okay, that's very important, and that is only 1.3 meg. Then we've got our VIA USB 2 drivers, which are 9.8, nearly 10 meg. So I mean, you know, there's 30, 50, 120. I mean, you know, we're talking about over 200 megabytes of essential drivers to get a VIA board. And this is a KT600 chipset, remember. But any of these VIA boards, and including the Service Pack 1, we're talking about 200 meg. So it's just impossible on a modem to get all that stuff in any kind of realistic way. And as I say, the drivers included with the graphics card will be out of date. And you always want to get the latest drivers for everything, including the Hyperion patch. So here's everything ready to go. So we're going to start off by setting up Service Pack 1A. Okay, so let's go into that folder, and it's a good idea to keep all these in separate folders too, yeah? Okay, so here we are. We're going to the Service Pack 1A folder, and it's a self-extracting cabinet file there, which is, as I said, 125 meg in size. Double click and it starts extracting. It's extracting the files, and then it'll start setting up. It's actually extracted them to some space on the E drive. If I just go back to the Windows Explorer and step up and then open the E drive here, there's the folder it's created. Yeah, 216 megabytes extracted. If you cancel this setup, that will disappear. Right? It'll just disappear off the drive, and you'll be left with just the basic folder. So don't worry about it being on the audio partition we've created. Let me just minimise the Explorer window there, and then we can look at this setup. So, welcome to Windows XP Service Pack 1 Setup Wizard. Before you install this update, we recommend that you back up your system, close all open programs, blah blah blah, but as we haven't installed anything, no big shakes. Okay, so here we go. Next. Oh, the dreaded end user agreement, which you must agree to. I agree. Next. If you want to remove Service Pack 1 later, setup must archive the necessary files. However, this requires significant disk space. Right, we are not going to archive these files. Okay. When I do the tests, when this thing's finally set up, if I find any problems, I'll just install XP again from scratch, because all I'm going to do to start with is put in the graphics card, drivers, put in all these patches, and then install the sound card and put on a sequencer for a test and check that everything's going alright and there's no glitches and pops and things like that. And if we do have any problems, I'm not going to uninstall the Service Pack 1. If we can't solve the problem in any way by tweaking the setup, then I'll just do it all again from scratch. Okay, so I'm not going to archive the files. Okay, so choose that, do not archive. Next, and here we go. You can see it's backing up files. So I'll edit this out in the final video, installing files. Oh, here we go. It does take a while, this. So I'll let it do that thing and just pour me coffee. You have successfully completed the setup. Do not restart now. Well, we're going to restart, okay? So finish and zoom out. Okay, it's restarting. There we go, look. Windows is shutting down. Oh, there she goes. There we go, back in. Log in. Okay, just log in. There we go, welcome. Service Pack 1 installed. Woo, here we go. Okay, that's the Service Pack 1. Okay, so go back to my computer, go into our little spare disk thing there, our spare partition, and now let's set up those Hyperion drivers for the VIA chipset. As I said, if you do currently own a VIA machine and you haven't applied this patch, do it. Okay, VIA Hyperion, go into the folder, there it is, it's a zip file. Extract all, because it's a zip file. And here comes the XP has a zip extraction archiving thing built in. You don't have to have WinZip or something installed. Click next, and where's it trying to extract it to? Let's have a look. Yeah, the same folder. That's exactly what we want. Let's just scroll back there. Yeah, it's going to put it on there. Next, show extracted files. Finish, and there we are. You can now see our folder, and it's extracted the files from this zip file, and here they are ready to set up. So we go into that folder, and it's got another folder inside that. There we are, and double click on that. There's the VIA logo. As you can see down there, it says the VIA Service Pack is preparing to install. Woo, here we go. Hi Hyperion. Welcome to the VIA Service Pack setup program. This will install the VIA Service Pack on your computer. Okay, you don't. It does recommend you close everything down first, but this is a brand new machine, so no need to do that. Okay, so next. That's the README. Just step past that. Normal installation, leave it on default. Next. Okay, you want to install all these: the VIA PCI IDE bus driver, the AGP driver, and the VIA driver here, the INF driver. Okay, so just choose next. First, do you want to install the VIA PCI IDE bus driver? Yes, we do. Leave that. Now, if you ever want to uninstall these, you simply run the setup again and choose uninstall, and it'll uninstall it. It's the same program for uninstalling as well. Okay, so install that. Next, install the AGP drivers. Yes. Next. Here we go. There it goes. It's doing its thing. Setup has finished copying the files. Before you can use the program, you must restart Windows or your computer. Yes, I want to restart my computer now. Okay, fine, here we go. Okay it. Whoop, there she goes, shutting down and rebooting again. Here we go. Log in. Okay, Here we are. Go to start. Control panel, system, hardware, device manager. You can still see our video controller has not been installed yet, and our universal serial bus USB controller also isn't in there either. Okay, no big shakes. Close that, cancel that, shut down the control panel. Go back to our little spare partition drive there. Right, we've put on the Service Pack 1, we've put on the Hyperion drivers. The ATI Radeon drivers, now they may actually install DirectX 9. So let's go for those next. And if they don't, we'll put on DirectX 9 afterwards. Okay, this is the ATI Catalyst drivers. Immediately following restart, the new display driver will be loaded for the first time, and then you've got to do your setup and what have you. So here we go. Next. Please enter the folder where you want these files saved. Okay, just change it from C to whatever partition you're keeping your setup files on, which is F in this case. Okay, next. It's extracting to that folder. Again, as I say, it means that stuff will be extracted onto this spare partition. It's really useful to have that little spare partition. I always have a little spare partition like that for putting all the setups and little drivers and extra bits and bobs, and any freeware DXIs or VSTIs you download. It's good to have them somewhere so that if you ever have to wipe the C drive and reinstall Windows in your main sequencer, you've always got those setups on your disk ready to go as soon as you've got everything back to normal in case of a crisis. And of course your songs and everything will be saved only on your audio and song partitions, and of course that means that they're always safe if anything goes tits up, as they say with the old C drive. Okay, so click next, click yes to agree with the agreement. Express recommended. Okay, here we go. Okay, that's that. Oh, here we go. Back to the main screen again, and you can see it's doing a few things there. Please wait while setup installs the control panel. That's the ATI control panel. As I say, you know, that's not that useful at the moment, but if the guy decides to add, if you're going to build something similar to this, if you decide to use this card and you want to add dual screens, that'll come in useful. Right, yes, I want to restart my computer now. Here we go. As I say, you don't have to do this login every time if you didn't create a password, but I had to do it to set up the network to port all this stuff over. But if you're getting a friend to deliver you all these drivers on a CD, you only need to set up a password to stop people getting into your machine right at the end when everything's set up. Okay, so that's all done, and if we now look in control panel, where are we? Display, settings, you can see there's the possibility of two screens there. Yeah, that's our main primary display, plug and play monitor on CP Technologies Inc. Radeon 9200 SE. It's 32-bit, 1024 by 768, which is the maximum for this screen. Lovely jubbly. If you look under advanced, there's all these various things. Okay, for the moment, leave all that. It's unlikely we'll need to touch that at all right now. But you can see our monitor is set to a 60 Hz refresh rate. Now that is something I'm going to change because 60 Hz, if you're looking at that all day, you'll get headaches. Okay, so let's try it at 70 Hz. Click apply. Can you see that? I should zoom in on that actually. Look, screen refresh. Yeah, which is under the monitor tab on all this stuff. Yeah. All these ATI things will only appear in advanced settings of display once you've installed the drivers. Okay, and it defaults to 60 Hz here for the refresh rate, but as I say, 60 Hz will flicker, and you might find it wearisome on the eye, and you might get a bit tired using that. So let's try it on 70 Hz. Let's apply it. There'll be a bit of a flicker there. The desktop has been reconfigured and blah blah. Do you want to keep these settings? It gives you a countdown. Yes, I'm going to keep that. And actually, Let's try it at 72 Hertz. Do you want to keep these settings? What I could do, I'm going to say yes. But actually, what I'm going to do is going to put it back to 70 Hertz. I'll just try and be on a minimum of 70 Hertz to avoid any too much screen flickering. I mean, you won't actually see it unless you've got very sensitive eyes. You might notice it flickering, but make sure your monitor can handle 1024 at 70 Hertz, and everything should be alright. I mean, you could step that down 800 by 600 if you'd like to look at, you know, things bigger like that, but I mean, I find it personally ghastly. So there we go. Again, advanced. The adapter, that shows you the Radeon, and again you can look at the refresh rate here, list all modes, and it shows you all the modes here: 1024 by 768, 32 bit, 70 Hz, 60 Hz, 75 Hz at 16 bit, 256 colours. It works backwards, basic 16 bit, 256 colours, 16 colours, you know, which is like absolutely bog standard, bog basic rather. So you can choose a refresh rate there. These are all valid modes, yeah, and we've got it at where were we? Yeah, 1024 by 768, 32 bit true colour, 70 Hz. That's our graphics driver set. Okay, go back to my computer, go into your little spare disk drive there where you've got all the stuff. Right, so we've set up the Service Pack 1, we've set up the Hyperion drivers, we've set up the Radeon drivers. Now let's just see what version of DirectX we've got on here. Okay, I've just minimised that for the meantime. If you go to Start, Run, okay, down the bottom in that little run box there, type in this DX Diag, which is DirectX Diagnostic. Click OK, and this starts. Now there'll be a little countdown in the bottom. I think I just missed that, while it analyses the system. And this is the DirectX Diagnostic section of Windows, yeah. And if you look in the middle there, it'll tell you what version of DirectX you're using, and it is the standard XP. So the ATI drivers didn't add any DirectX. DirectX 8.1 is what's on there. Okay, now that's alright. I mean, most sequencers should work with that, but we're going to put DirectX 9 on. Okay, so let's just close that, open up that. Yeah, that's our drive again with all the setups, remember, that we put on there, the Hyperion and what have you. Now let's install DirectX 9. Double click the DX9 folder. Now you can see, actually I've got both types in here, which I copied over. That's the DX web setup, which is the DirectX 9 web setup. That's the one they expect most home users to use who are connected to the internet with a broadband or a cable of some type with high speed, or even on a modem, and it lets you set up DirectX 9. If you look, it's only 290 kilobytes, that, and you basically run it and then it connects to Microsoft and it starts setting up DirectX 9, and the stuff downloads bit by bit as it sets up. Okay, then this is the DX9 redistribution update, okay, and that's the one that you need to get your mate to download if you're not on broadband. And this one is 35 meg, and that's the one that you want. It's self-contained, it doesn't need to be connected to the internet. Okay, so double click that. Here comes the license agreement, agree. It's extracting. It's where's it going to try and extract to? Let's just have a look. There you are. Look, if you can just look down there, it's saying it's going to unzip to the C drive in some temporary space there, or your local folders, your documents and settings folder. I'm going to again change that to F, and I don't want it to be in any of these. I want to unzip it, so I'm going to back up all this and I'm going to extract it to F DX9, which is the folder we're in at the moment, okay, and then / setup. Okay, so it'll create a folder inside the DirectX 9 folder. We've already got this extracting zip file in, cabinet file rather, and we're going to unzip it into a new folder inside that, so it's all nice and tidy and contained in there. It's unzipped successfully, and as you can see just up there inside the folder, it's created the folder I asked it to do down here. Yeah, I wanted it in F. Let me just back that up so you can see it. Hang on. So I asked it to extract F, DX9, and make a new folder called setup. Right, and this is the folder we're in with the DX9 in there. It's the setup folder it's created. Now, if we go into that, we can close this now. This unzipping, extracting little dialog box. Close that. Go into our setup folder, and you find two folders: the license and the actual DirectX 9 folder. Go into that. DX setup. There it is. Setup. Welcome to setup for DirectX 9. Looks like the X files, doesn't it? Accept the agreement, of course. Next. And here we go. It'll install it. Okay, let's just let that do that. And it's done. Finish. And it'll reboot again. Okay, so we've installed the service pack, we've installed the Hyperion set, we've installed DirectX 9, we've installed our graphics drivers. Everything should be hunky now. Let's let it reboot. Login again. There we go. Okie dokie. Right. Let's have a look. Control panel, system, hardware, device manager. Okay, now as you can see, our display driver is no longer an other device ticked with yellow, but our serial bus controller there, universal serial bus controller, is still deticked. Still showing a yellow question mark, exclamation mark. Now, our display adapter is up here, the Radeon. If you look at your primary IDE channel now, and can you see that? Let me zoom in a bit. Yeah, IDE ATA ATAPI controllers. Okay, and if you choose the primary IDE channel, right click and choose properties. See any of that? Sorry. Let me just go over here. Look at our hard drive there, and you can see transfer mode on the advanced settings tab, yeah, for the hard drive. DMA if available, and it's showing correctly Ultra DMA mode 6, which means the hard drive's being controlled at the right speed. Okay, so cancel out of that. Our secondary channel, which is the CD-ROM, has only the CD-ROM on it. I'll go back to that. Yeah, our secondary IDE channel under the ATA ATAPI controllers there. If we look at the properties for that, and we go to the advanced settings tab, again it's still set DMA for available, but it's Ultra DMA mode 2. Okay, it's using that older strand cable, but it won't go up to DMA mode 6. Being a CD-ROM shouldn't do, I don't think, if I'm right in saying that. Okay, so cancel out that, that's all alright. So we've still got this over here, we've still got this universal serial bus controller there, greyed out, or rather showing the old question mark, you know, the yellow question mark and the exclamation mark, what the hell is it? So, let's try setting up them USB controllers via. So close all this. Go back to start button and go to my computer, and we'll go back into that spare F disk partition, that little partition where we've got all our setups. Via USB 2 drivers, here we are, there they are, zipped. Extract all. it's going to again try and put it on. Oh no, if you look this time it is going to extract it to F in the folder we're already in, but it'll make a subfolder. Okay, so that's fine, that's where we want it. Next, it's extracting. Show extracted files. There we go, show extracted files. Finish. Right, here we are. We'll just close that. This is the folder we were in. You can see it's extracted and it's made this new folder. Go into that. And there's our another folder. Okay, and there is our setup. Just there. For the USB drivers setup, yeah. So I'm going to run that. Setup. Via USB 2 driver setup is preparing. Here we go. Whoops, via technologies. There we go, look. Welcome to setup, USB 2. Click next. Install the USB 2 drivers. It's a bit like the Hyperion set basically. You can uninstall it once it's installed by clicking that. If you ever want to take it off, just run the same setup and choose uninstall. Warning! In order to complete the entire driver installation, the setup program will restart your system automatically. Do you want to continue? Yes. And let's just zoom out so you can see that. So it's doing its thing now, installing the USB 2 drivers. Waiting restart. There we go. Ooh, hey. Restarting again. There we are. Let's log in again. Okay, so if we go to Start, Control Panel, System, Hardware, Device Manager, now you can see, no longer do we have that USB 2 showing the yellow. That's all done and dusted and it's done alright. Okay, there's all the USB, there's the via USB 2 enhanced host controller, which is now listed at the bottom. So, everything's installed and lovely jubbly. Okay, now all we've got to do is install our sound card and then we can do a few tweaks. Okay, I'm going to shut down and get the machine ready on the bench to put in the sound card, and then we'll do some Windows XP extra tweaks and put in the sound card.